Welcome to Sports and Songs Podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Today is episode number 25 on season 3 for the group, and this is the songs episode only. Today is May 12th, 2022. How are you doing, Andy?
I am good. Kind of fighting the storm here tonight.
So some bad weather moving in here to Western Carver County, but we got a good episode here for music. Have you got anything to start us off with, Andy?
Well, just a little bit. What I say is, excuse me, is we haven't really ripped on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but we haven't been the biggest fans of it either. It is what it is. It's there for a reason. It's got its good points, its bad points, but they just had the recent inductions. So this episode is based on the recent inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not here to argue if they should or shouldn't be in. Just to introduce to you who's in, I guess, for lack of better words.
Nice.
And we'll start off that list. We may have missed a few people because they do induct a lot of other side categories. So we're just kind of hit the high points here.
Just the main ones.
Names we'll all kind of recognize. And some names are going to go, wow, they weren't in already. And some names are going to go, what the hell are they doing in there? But that's for you to decide, not us. We're just going to go from there.
True.
First one off the top of the list, Pat Benatar. She finally made it in. Her and her husband, Neil Gerardo, they made it in.
Congrats.
Duran made it in. Not my words. I'm reading off script. Not my words. Hip hop heavyweight Eminem. I don't know. Synth pop duo The Eurythmics, which I think is a very deserving one. I'm a big Eurythmics guy, so.
Okay.
Country legend Dolly Parton, who kind of bucked wanting to go in for a while. And Dolly's not one to stir the pot. So I think she finally said, fine. You want me in, whatever. And kind of left it at that. Hopefully open the door to other country artists who have been influenced to make it in. Lotto Richie, I'm surprised wasn't in already. And Carly Simon is in. And now as award for their music excellence category. So I don't know if it's like a miscongeniality or whatever y'all call it, but local favorites and also Carver County residents, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis made it in. And finally, Judas Priest.
Nice. Priest finally.
They kind of made it in the back door. I think they're just kind of like, we're in, great, thank you. They're not going to argue it. But like we've said on here before, since day one, we talked about Judas Priest's British Steel album. You gotta listen to that album. Priest has done so much. They still do it. Rob Halford's still always out there pushing heavy metal music with his cat sweaters on all the time on Instagram. Priest made it in. I would have loved to see them make it in for their music and their sales and everything else. But they made it in this way. And I think they're happy with that. They'll take it. You know.
It's interesting. They've been, for how many years? That's the big argument. Every year the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations come out, and the folks for heavy metal say, when is Judas Priest going to finally get on there? And now they finally did, but not because of their music, but because of their influence on other bands, right?
Yeah, award for music excellence, which is sometimes called the side band category. They're the second band to get in there, and this is the part that bothers me now, how they're being compared to this as a side band. The other band to receive this award, the E Street Band, also known as Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. So his band made it, not Bruce, but his band made it. And you're putting Judas Priest in that same category.
Yeah, that
that to me is another show for another day. That kind of bothers me how, they consider him, oh, you're the backup. Well, who's the lead then? It was Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. So you're saying Rob Halford's not in, but Judas Priest is, or all of Judas Priest? It's got to be all of them, of course, because the way they listed it. But groups like Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Bruce Hornsby and the Range, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. You're just kind of like okay, I got kind of an ego. We're going to use my name, but you guys are cool too.
George Thorogood
and the Delaware Destroyers. Don't want to give them ideas, but pretty soon it might be Paul, Gene, and Kiss, but you never know. They've always stayed together. They could have very well separated that. They did. They kept it as a band name. And when Kiss went in, they went in with the original 4, which is I don't know. That's kind of where they got their name and popularity from. I had no problem with just the four going in.
Yeah.
I wish, and they did acknowledge the other band members. I kind of wish they would let them come up for to do. I think they would have if Kiss would have performed. They would have had Bruce Kulick, Tommy Thayer there, all those guys come up. Maybe Vinnie Vincent come up for a big jam at the end. That would have been cool.
Mark St. John. No, he died.
He passed away. Yes. They could have done a virtual hologram thing for him. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
But
Eric
they
Carr.
at least invite those guys to show up for the big, they have a big jam at the end of the Hall of Fame. At least let those guys come perform in that. That would have been kind of neat.
Yeah, it is an interesting concept with most Hall of Fames are individual players,
Right.
individual athletes. And so when you get into this, that's part of the problem here with this is, and not that it's a big problem, but they're going to run into this all the time. People come in and out of the bands, the band gets in, they have side bands, they've got
Yep. And like we said
studio
before,
guys.
there's some guys are in there multiple times.
Yes.
Eric Clapton, he's in there with Cream, he's in there, other multiple times. So it was Derek and the Dominoes, and then the solo.
And it's the kind of the nature of the beast.
Wings. Paul McCartney and Wings and the Beatles are in there. So, there is multiple entrants. But congratulations to those guys who made it in. I said, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I'm glad they're in there. That was one of those, it's like, oh, they're not in yet? To me.
Correct.
But, the Eurythmics finally make it in. That made me happy. Pat Benatar, big Pat Benatar fan. She kind of opened the door to women in rock, So that was kind of exciting. But one band in particular is our album of the week, sir.
Now, this week we've got an album of the week here. I'm going to get my notes. It's Duran Duran. I've never covered a Duran yet, but no, that's not it.
That's not the one. What are we doing?
Screen shares up here.
Wow.
It's okay. We got technical difficulties. I got the file right here.
The other file. Because they had hit the video file, that could have been an issue.
All right, it's Duran Duran, and what it is Rio. So y'all remember the album Rio? It's the second studio album.
We're gonna try this again. Do you feel lucky? There it is. All right.
That's the one we're looking for. Duran Duran.
Whew.
Rio, second album by English band Duran Duran, released 1982. Reached number 2 in the UK and number 1 in Australia and Canada. Produced several worldwide hit singles, including the title track, Hungry Like the Wolf, and Save a Prayer. Now, this was released. The album's 42 minutes, 38 seconds long, 1982, like we said earlier. And they released those big hits, big songs. And they really became known later on after they got out as known as a dance. And they're known for their dance tracks in dance clubs and their beats versus their music. Rio has been acclaimed as one of the greatest album covers of all time. So the album cover you're looking at right there, they had some good artwork done there back when they did that. But that's a very recognizable album color. Artist work done by Patrick Nagel. Now, the question I was going to get on to next, they wanted to have Rio. John Taylor, the bassist, takes credit for the album name. He said, I was kind of fascinated with the idea of Brazil, and Rio to me was shorthand for the truly foreign, exotic cornucopia of earthly delights, basically a party that would never stop. So he said, I think we call it Rio. Now, if you watch some of the music videos that were released here, 3 of the singles had very good tropical ocean island views. Those were actually filmed in Sri Lanka and Antigua.
Not what I remember from the videos as a 13-year-old boy.
No, and I didn't know that until I researched this either. That was filmed in Antigua and Sri Lanka, and very, very good stuff there. Now, while filming one of the videos, guitarist Andy Taylor contracted a tropical virus and was hospitalized on his return to England. Now that's, I thought maybe Andy, we could use that as some sort of trivia question, but I don't think many would get that right. He came down with the tropical virus. Now the next news here, when this album first came out, it initially got negative reviews from the critics. Now I didn't know that either. It was mainly, it didn't have a lot of oomph. It didn't have a lot of pop. But then later, once it got the airplay and MTV with the music videos and the radio play, the reviews changed and they became very positive. So, it's very interesting how society helps push this along. The critics are the experts. They don't know that much. And now it really takes hold. And now future critics say, you know what, this is a very good album. We liked it. Here's the songs on the album. Title track Rio is song 1. Song 2 is My Own Way. That was released as the initial single on the album. Song 3 is Lonely in Your Nightmare. Song 4 is Hungry Like the Wolf. That's probably the most common here among us heavy metal rock fans is the one we like. Song 5 is Hold Back the Rain. That's a 4-minute song. I read in the notes, Andy, that was originally a 10-minute song.
Wow.
Hold Back the Rain. And I agree with the producers here. They said, you know what, you better trim that back a little bit. We don't need a 10-minute song here on a 48-minute album, 42-minute album.
Not on your second album either. If it was like their 5th album,
yes,
a little stroke to put that out there.
Yes. Song 6 is New Religion. Song 7, Last Chance on the Stairway. Song 8, Save a Prayer. That was also very, very popular.
It's a good one.
Song. And then song 9, The Chauffeur. Now,
Save a Prayer is not a bad song either.
You know what? I didn't originally when I heard that, I wasn't sure that was them that sang it. But in doing my review, I hardly remember that. But my wife mentioned, she said that's probably the one of their better songs on the album.
That's my favorite song on the album. Yeah,
that many don't. You think of Hungry Like the Wolf and Rio. That's kind of me, I guess, in my own opinion, to think of those harder songs. But that's the one that really got her attention.
Hungry Like the Wolf is a good sing-along song in the car.
Oh yes, good. A lot of these songs are good. Tap your feet to. Here's the personnel: Simon LeBon, lead vocals; Nick Rhodes, keyboards, and then we get John Taylor, the bassist; Andy Taylor, guitars; and Roger Taylor, drums. Now the tenor saxophone
are related.
Tenor saxophone on the song Rio is done by Andy Hamilton. I'm not sure if that's relevant or not. What was that about the relation? What was that about the?
Do you know which one of the Taylors are related?
No, I don't. I do not.
None of them.
None of them are, really?
None of them are. Just happen to be 3 guys named Taylor.
This is all breaking new ground for me. I'm not a big Duran fan. I obviously like some of their more popular music. Don't consider them rock, but the genre here is called new wave and pop rock. That's fair enough.
A lot of us rock fans, hairband fans, if you will, of the 80s, we didn't really turn off Duran when it was on MTV. We just made sure no one else was in the room watching it when we were watching it. We were all closet Duran fans.
Correct.
Before you send your hate mail in, I kind of compared Duran to Night Ranger. Night Ranger's got more respect in the rock industry, but when you look at the songs they released, they weren't considered rock.
Yeah,
they were that same 12, 13, 14-year-old girls were listening to them because they always released the ballads. So Duran and Night Ranger were kind of in that same grouping. A lot of us liked them. We just didn't admit it in public.
And they did, for the youth, the junior high boys as well. Love the music videos. They always had the sexy women on there, the models, and very, very sexy slant, I guess you can have it on their songs, music and music videos, I guess, for that age group. But good stuff, good songs. This was their second one. It went double platinum. I don't
Do
think
you
I
know how
mentioned
they
that.
came up with the name Duran Duran? Did you see that in your research?
No.
It's a character name from a movie, an adult movie they were watching one time.
It
It's a character
was?
name. Yes.
Is that for real?
If I ever lied to you.
Surprised. I'm not surprised either.
So when you look at the videos, it kind of makes sense now. That's a
Yeah, they were
character in a
they were
movie
the
they were watching.
Australian band, or English band. But anyway, very good stuff. I do recommend it. I do congratulate them on getting the Hall of Fame honor, and the others that you mentioned. Pat Benatar was another one that most people assumed was already in some fashion.
Go back to our in other bands categories, talking about Duran Duran. Andy Taylor and John Taylor were both in the Power Station.
They were.
With Robert Palmer as a lead singer. So Power Station redid the song Bang a Gong.
Yep.
So there's two guys from Duran Duran. That Andy Taylor had some good solo stuff. His Thunder album's a very good album. Simon Le Bon did some solo work. But so there's some other ones to check out too. Power Station, Andy Taylor solo stuff.
Interesting.
Some good things. Very interesting stuff. Yes.
Now, I've never done an album review of the Eurythmics either. You mentioned that. I'm going to add that to the list.
Yeah. Yeah. Annie
Get that in
Lennox.
the queue.
Annie Lennox of the Eurythmics, I thought was just an awesome voice. Dave Stewart on guitar, very underrated. I thought at the time I loved them. I had no problem admitting I liked them back in the day. Big Eurythmics fan. Really enjoyed their work. Annie Lennox, remember her? She always had the crew cut hair.
Yes.
So that was a little out there at the time. So she kept by sideways looks for that. If you get past that, if that bothers you, then music's not your thing if you're looking at what people look like, but just listen to them.
I'll to add that to the queue. You know, I never thought of doing a music review on the Eurythmics. And now that you bring it up, I'll go deep into the archives.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of music, if you catch us before Saturday, Trib Fest, Music Cafe down in St. Paul, Minnesota Music Cafe, we will be there. This is not a public appearance for Sports and Songs. Yes, we'll autograph and take pictures with you, but this is not a perform. You're not paying to see us. You just happen to see us there.
Yeah, there are 5 bands there that play only tribute music. They'll all take the stage and focus on their genre and their music, and I'm looking forward to it. It's the second annual. I think this is something that could take off. People like tribute bands.
Right. A lot of the guys will play in more than one band, not per se this night, but you'll see a bass player, Greg, bass player from Heartless. He's also in Jump, a Van Halen tribute band. So a lot of
There's
these guys
overlap.
double dip too. So yep.
Yeah, there's some overlap in that whole community, but this will be fun. Once again, Minnesota Music Cafe off Payne Avenue, St. Paul. That's this Saturday, 6 p.m. It starts and it goes till midnight. 5 live bands, and I think it's a $20 ticket to get in to see everything.
Yep.
We're going to do a review. Next week's music show will be a review of that show.
Yes.
So Andy and I will be there.
Review, just recapping pictures from that. Yeah.
Andy and I will be taking good notes there on Saturday, and we'll come with a full review for next Thursday's show.
Yes.
Any other comments, Andy?
No.
None here for myself. Please remember to leave your comments below. Ask questions. Some of these
album suggestions. Yeah.
Yes, and recommendations and things like that as well. But share this among your friends. Share, click, share, and subscribe. We'll look forward to our next Thursday show.
See ya.
All right. See you guys.